Hello everyone, welcome back to another groovy episode of Back in Their Day. Today we're going to disseminate more of that 70s show because we're not done with that pinata yet. I think we have a lot more poundings to give it. No pun intended. I'm the Fox.
And I'm Kevin.
What's up, everybody? It's my first time on the show, so I'm Santi.
Yeah, we needed to grab a fourth. It seemed good.
You weren't kidding me. You said your voice is jacked up, were you?
Yeah, it is jacked up.
Probably not the best time to do an episode of a YouTube show.
Way to go.
Hi, everybody. My name's Cordell.
I can do whatever I can.
Today we're doing episode 4, Battle of the Sexists, which has always been kind of a fun, controversial thing for us to talk about. So we'll probably get a little bit into that at the end if you're lucky. If not, we'll just, play it by ear like usual. And to kick us off...
All right. This is another one of the many episodes we're going to talk about where they yet again begin in the basement. They're kind of just sitting there quiet on the couch. Kind of wondering what's going on. Jackie's sitting there, arms crossed. All of a sudden, I'm waiting. And it turns out she's looking for an answer to an obviously ridiculous question. Who would win in a fight? The Fonz or Bruce Lee?
Ah, the Fonz. Hey. Arthur Fonzarelli, a.k.a. the Fonz, or Fonzie. He first appeared as a supporting character in the classic show Happy Days, where he soon became the lead as his popularity grew exponentially. He's known for being a stereotypical cool guy, the greaser with the famous motorcycle, the hat,
Nobody puts Fonzie in the corner.
In the 255 episode run of Happy Days, he's the only character besides Richie Cunningham who was the original lead. I didn't know that he was the original lead.
Yeah, I didn't watch that show too much.
Neither did I, but...
My happy days were spent elsewhere.
He's known for being the bully and the protector, so I guess the anti-hero, I guess we could say. I'm new to this, sorry. Unfortunately, both he and the show was on what would suffer a horrific drop in popularity after he was involved in what is probably still considered the most notorious moment in TV history. Jumping of the shark, which forever impacted the entertainment industry.
Everybody has heard about jumping the shark. I will occasionally jump the shark, just for fun. I brought my own shark so that I could jump it whenever I want to. And it's not, sometimes I'll bring a gang of friends so that we can all jump the shark, make it a group event.
So fun.
And now his opponent, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee was a famous Chinese-American martial artist and actor. He was known for creating his style of Jeet Kune Do, which I believe he handpicked from other martial art styles and made into his own. And you can find it on many series similar to ours. Go on YouTube, look it up. Learn more martial arts today. He's still thought by many of his peers as the most powerful martial artist of all time. None could beat Bruce Lee's might.
Not even Goku.
Goku is Bruce Lee.
And Superman.
Every godly character you've ever known is Bruce Lee with a different mask on.
Unless it's Chuck Norris. That's very true.
You want to tell that to the Bruce Lee that apparently has been around since 1939 when Superman was created? Not to mention he's like the epitome of American culture, Superman, ironically. America!
By the way, the guy that actually played Chuck Norris was just a double of Chuck Norris, so Chuck Norris didn't really lose to Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Stunt double was the one who lost, I see. He was a pop culture icon, having been the one to break down the wall for Asian American actors. Literally, he kicked the crud out of that wall. It exploded. There's no more wall now, and you can't build another one there.
Is that why they call it the Great Wall?
No, the Great Wall still stands.
Oh.
I don't think he's kicking that one down anyway anymore.
That's his wall. The Great Wall wasn't built to keep the Huns out. It was built for Bruce Lee's might. They were trying to cage it in, but not even the Great Wall could hold back Bruce Lee. He had a great run on the Green Hornet TV series, and Enter the Dragon was one of his breakout movies where things really started rolling for him in the actor area. He unfortunately, though, left in very poor circumstances, I would say. It was a huge bummer. Kind of like what happened with Harry Houdini.
Yeah, it's as someone. I mean, the martial arts world. That was a great loss. Rest in peace, Bruce.
After collapsing on an ADR or automated dialogue replacement, he continued to have headaches, really bad ones, for the last of his days. In July of '73, he was prescribed a medication called Equagesic for such intense headaches, and later died to an unknown allergy from propionate, an active ingredient in the medication. So, medication, good or bad?
I still prefer to think that Bruce Lee was murdered by ninjas.
What ninja could take Bruce Lee, though?
The one that trained him.
Oh shoot, it's an origin story.
Teacher versus student, who comes out on top?
Master Splinter.
Oh, Mr. Miyagi.
The man from Okinawa.
After hearing what she wanted to hear, Jackie departed and awaited her 8 p.m. phone call from Kelso to recap that episode of
Chico and the Man. Now, I'm sure lots of you back in the day knew who this was. I still haven't seen the show, but
Neither have I. Not a single ounce of research at all.
I think it's unanimously unseen by your crew. I don't know. What do you think, Santi?
I have never seen the show. I never even heard Chico.
I don't know. I live near Chico and I am the man, so maybe.
Yeah.
so it was created by James Comack, and it was centered around an old dude and a younger Hispanic guy that was looking for work. But the show was actually nearly canceled after, Freddie Prinze Sr. had killed himself. Nearly canceled, but not canceled.
Nearly.
Yes, but the show actually continued with a 12-year-old boy named Raul. And then actually towards the end, or at the end of the series finale actually dealt with where Chico's having left. So, even though he was only in there for the first season. But after Jackie leaves in that whole episode thing, the guys actually start railing Kelso about his taste in women, which is actually, after mentioning a couple of names, is the first time we actually hear about Pam Macy.
Oh yeah, Pam Macy seems to be a staple among the girls that you don't want to bring home to mother.
Not at all. I mean, Pam Macy, what apparently, according to How to Do Anybody, for a quarter?
Astoundingly cheap, low deals.
Oh, Pam Macy.
Actually, it was during this conversation where Kelso actually blurts out really loud as Red enters the room with breasts the size of watermelons.
I mean, I'm talking one here, just melons for days.
Triple F.
Oh, Pam Macy.
But at this point, we've found out previous to this that Red's been cut down to part-time at the plant, but he's actually in this episode looking for things to do, which is really, really getting to Kitty.
I mean, Red is a workaholic. He comes from that age where you just keep going and going and going, and that is what he's going to do. He is the Energizer Bunny of men. Nom couldn't slow him down.
I thought he...
And never did.
Nope.
No. Korea.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't
It was Korea, not yeah, don't listen to him. He's not part of this.
I'd rather him correct me than to do it myself. Bam! Into the driveway where we find Kelso, Donna, and Eric playing basketball, where Donna kicks his butt so hard from one end of the court to the other, and it leaves him feeling a little less masculine than he'd like to, especially when she asks if he'd like his balls back. That was a rough moment in TV history, I have to say. So later in the circle where we all belong, our home and heart, they kind of lean down hard and reinforce that notion with vigor as they bring about the whipping situation. And who else better than to get brought into the whipping than Kelso, who is whipped like the family pig. You look at the camera and you say whip like the family pig, Santi, or you will be whipped like the family pig.
Whipped like the family pig.
I took way longer than you should have.
Well, if you've ever seen the show, you would know why they were bringing up such pig whipping. In the Pinciotti kitchen, there's a good mother-daughter moment where Mrs. Pinciotti brings up to Donna that there's a bit of a gray area in the world of masculinity with men.
In the scene, you kind of see Midge. She pretends. She tries to prove a point to Donna. She says, "Here, watch this." She tries to open a pickle jar, pretends she can't. She goes, "Bob, will you please help me?" And of course he does it, and she kind of shows Donna that the man only feels like the man if the woman helps him feel that way.
See? Masculinity issue. And also is kind of a turning point in her life, I feel, where Donna brings up the whole feminist idea of using the creative bedroom activity as blackmail for their partners, which, I think she might have heard once or twice, but it really clicks in for her now, and you kind of see the change in their relationship start happening.
Midge is gonna get her bathroom painted.
Blah, blah, blah. Get my bathroom painted.
Alright, next up isn't necessarily part of the story of the episode, but we've been kind of referencing to these historical cutaways that pop up. The one that pops up particularly here is Pong. Released in 1972 by Atari, making it one of the earliest video games released. Alan Alcorn actually created it as a challenge given to him by the founders of Atari, Nolan Bushell and Ted Dabney. Surprised by the quality of the result, they decided to actually put the game as it was on the market. The game was found to be similar to a game featured in an old system called the Magnavox Odyssey, which was actually the first home gaming console. And they actually sued Atari as a result. Ironically, it also became a victim of its own doing, as multiple gaming companies duplicate the formula, and improve on it, of course, by adding new features. This would also result in Atari releasing many sequels, again, with new features. And due to its cultural impact, it's actually in the Smithsonian Institute in New York City, along with a whole collection of other games.
One of which is probably not E.T.
Yeah, that whole thing nearly crushed the video game market right there. If it wasn't for Nintendo, we would have no market here in the US.
The legend still tells of thousands of lost copies buried somewhere deep within the Arizona desert.
Or you can play the game and fall in the same hole. Either way, you probably aren't going to get out of it alive.
The very hole that they were buried in.
The Smithsonian is in Washington, D.C., not New York City. I did not look at the last line.
After the cutaway, we move back to the hub where we find Hyde and Fez trying to break Kelso away from the phone, where he's, trying to prove that he's not a whipped pig, causing him to shoot himself in the foot in regards to his lady after she hears him trying to brush her off.
I mean, dude, bro, even covers the wrong part of the phone. He is next level stupid, and I'm in love with that. I just really am.
While that's going on, just a short distance away, we find Donna and Eric. Donna gets Eric to play some air hockey by underselling her ability. Before Eric starts talking to Ish, she's forced to put him in his place. And you know what? It does suck to lose to a girl. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know, man. I kind of like losing to a girl occasionally. It keeps them on the level. I like seeing female empowerment. I like when they're like, yeah!
70s did not appreciate that at all. And I guarantee you, he probably didn't appreciate it when his first thought was him in a yellow dress with his mom's hairdo and his inflatable boobs.
That was gorgeous. What are you talking about?
Yeah, not enjoyable at all. But, and I'm talking about Eric in the dress. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Different show, sorry.
Different strokes, right?
Different folks.
But at the same time, a frustrated Kitty is dealing with Red and her and their newly modified table.
Oh, geez, the table. Man,
Yeah.
the table.
She's going to prepare their lunch. She has a melon sitting on the table, and she grabs it as she's trying to stretch out the other way and grab for a knife. He finally tells her to just let it go, and
Kitty, take your hand off that melon.
All right, so going back, we're going to reference another movie I haven't seen, which is Flower Drum Song.
I think that's going to be a tone for the rest of our show, guys.
I think most of us were born post 1980.
Yeah.
I was 80, so I missed the 70s entirely. Just right there, though. But Red has been messing with the table to mixed results. At one point, he had tilted it to the point where Kitty, when she let go of the melon she was helping prepare for lunch, it rolled right off the table. So Red had to go back to it. But he had chopped it down in a little too far. And this actually had Kitty commenting that they could just sit on the floor like those nice people in Flower Drum Song. Which, like I said, movie I haven't seen. But it was one of the first films of the era to actually have a mostly Asian cast up until the Joy Luck Club back in '93. And it actually centers on a woman named Mei Lee, which is odd because I actually used to work with a woman with that name. Maybe it was her. But traveling to the U.S. in search of a man who she's been promised in an arranged marriage. Yeah, not a big fan of those arranged marriages, though I'd probably be married if it weren't for that fact. Oddly enough. And it attempts to... and said husband's attempts to set Melee up with various suitors as to annul the contract. So I think that's the whole of what the movie's about there. Again, haven't seen it.
Well, at least that's kind of nice of him, though. He's like, well, clearly you are not happy with me, so let's go find you a different suitor for you to be with.
All right, we cut back to the driveway. Donna and Eric, like they were in the beginning of the episode, they are playing basketball yet again. But Donna, this time, she's much like with the air hockey. She kind of goes in underselling herself, but except this time it's pretty flagrant. She could not be doing less to try and play this game of basketball, and Eric very much so notices it. He gets very frustrated, and Donna ends up leaving because of it. Kitty comes out after and explains to Eric that if you really want a lasting relationship, you can't keep score. Just play the game and enjoy the experience.
You hear that? Note to everyone everywhere. It's fun to play games. It's better not to keep score unless you want to go to bed angry, which our soul tutors tell us not to do that.
Immediately cut to Kitty walking over, oddly and unusually, to the corner of the garage, where she proceeds to grab a sledgehammer and then smash the crud out of the springs in Red's garage door. Calling Red, "Oh, Red, I think there's something wrong with the garage door."
She just barely saved the life of her refrigerator, which she was so worried about from that manic repairman. Back at the hub, after a little more pig whipping, Kelso decides to go get Jackie a soda. The guys come up to roast them as they usually do, because that's what you do when you have friends. You like to burn as much as possible. To which Kelso says, yeah, well, who's getting some? Anyone? Anyone else? Kelso? Fez? Huh? Fez? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Why all of a sudden does this have to be about me? What did I do?
You're the token Fez. We brought you on for that part. That's the only reason you're here.
Where are my horse? As we begin to come down to the end of the episode, we find Eric and Donna once again, where Eric is starting to think about what his mom said previously in the garage about, just having fun. Let go of the competitive BS and have a good time. Until Donna gets called home, which was actually funny because, it almost became a wrestling match and who was trying to get the ball.
Oh, yeah,
he was going
She was straddling, yeah. She was gonna get him.
Donna gets called home, and then, unbeknownst to Eric, the garage door pops open and we find Red just standing there, arms on your hips. You know how, that certain stern look that...
Yeah, he's got the furrowed brow, and his dramatic villain music starts playing.
The look in his face as the villain music from RoboCop 1 plays. And the 80s techno rock.
After bashing Eric's basketball prowess, Red starts putting him through some paces, like 1,000 squat thrusts.
Well, as that's happening to him, we've also noticed that Kelso hasn't learned a thing. Still just trying to just live his way through life as he's got Fez telephoning through the telephone. So Kelso's there with Hyde, just doing what they do, and Fez is on the phone. So anytime Jackie talks on the phone, Fez communicates it over to Kelso. Kelso answers back, but this goes on until something naughty this way comes, and there is a skinny dipping story referenced, and Fez just can't hold it back any longer and just answers for him, and you hear Jackie's earth-shattering scream.
I think people over in Asia heard her earth-shattering scream as well.
Yeah, and at that point, that pretty much ended things right there. And that's the end of our episode. Well, their episode.
Now for the afterthoughts. So, a big problem that has been somewhat global, but primarily in America, is, as the episode title proclaims, Battle of the Sexists. It's something that we've kind of explored past a good deal, but still remains very much so in our misogynistic America. We have all the women's rights movements, which were really picking up speed right around that time, and you have the people who clung to the past where women belong in the kitchen, and I do believe all of us disagree with that outdated venue, so there isn't as much debate here as we thought might be necessary. We didn't bring any of our spicy prick friends along, so we're just going to go ahead and say that it's wrong, and that women should at least be equal in 90% of the situations. There's obvious things where, you know, you have the upper body, lower body thing, but that's even neither here nor there, because I've seen some women who could out bench press me. Probably bench press the three of us, besides Cord, because it's kind of a big dude, but they could just stack us on top of each other and bench press us right there. So it isn't really so much about what strength lies in, it's a power play, you know?
I agree with you 100%. I don't have anything to add. That's why I didn't want to say anything.
I couldn't be as eloquent as you on this side of things, so.
I agree too.
And after that unanimous agreement there, I think we've pretty much covered what we need to about that situation. Men, treat your women right. Women, treat your men right. Let's just all get along, because there isn't enough time for us to keep score in these silly games. Just a little respect.
Yeah!
All right, so we'll catch you guys next time. I'm the Fox.
I'm Kevin.
Santi.
I'm Cordo.
Keep it real.